Should we get chairs here or on the backside? No, he was here. Should we get chairs in the back so we can sit here?
We can walk it. That might be more interesting.
All right, 1 more minute. Inshallah, we're going to start.
Just cover as much. If you want, I can take question and answer.
Okay. All right. So I'll get those parts now. One of the things that all the cosmetic order is outside all those things. These are all included in 9.5. These are not included in 9.5.
Then let's keep the story. Let's not change it. I don't want to upset you.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's okay. That gives us a little bit of room. But we don't need to go into that detail.
Very high level.
Just cover everything. Questions come up, inshallah. I'll help. If there is anything missing, inshallah.
You want to test?
You can turn up the mic. We're live now.
Oh, Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum. Oh, I know that is a big line there. So while you are taking your tea and samosas, can you, inshallah, keep a little bit, quiet so that we can start the program? It's almost 10:30. I know that 11 o'clock we're going to start our Suhoor Fest. So I wanted to, start this program so we can finish it here and then you can enjoy the Suhoor Fest. So can we get started? So if you are a little quieter, then we can go ahead and get started. Shh. Okay. Can you be quiet, brother and sisters, so we can start the program? Much better. We need even best. Can we go ahead and get started the program? Okay. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. So those who are standing in the line, please continue your tea and samosas and come and take a seat quietly. So we can go ahead and get started. A'udhu billah, bismillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Jazakallah khair, all of you for coming. It's Friday. I know after 8 rakah of Tarawih that, okay, they asked me to go on top. Okay. Here is fine? Okay. All right. So, yeah, I can see you better actually. I can see even who is talking and who is quiet. I can see that. I can call you the name if someone is talking. So, let's go ahead and get started. So, this program basically wanted to, inform you about the 3.0 project. I think all of you know. I think, who doesn't know that building 3.0? Can you raise your hand? Who doesn't know anything about 3.0? 1, 2, 3. Oh, all the sisters, they know actually. So the brothers, you are almost losing. The sisters, all the sisters, they know about it. Okay, that's a good thing. So, all right. So, this 3.0 project that we initiated last year in February. And since then, we made quite a bit of progress. So, wanted to update you that where we are with this project. Now, just going a little bit, housekeeping in terms of how we function here in the MCA. So we have two boards. One is executive board. They take care of all the programs and activities, like as you see that, that happening that Sohur night or different programs, social dawa, all those activities, these are part of the executive board. The board of trustees, they take care of all these, the buildings, the legal, the construction, acquisition, those kind of things, that we take care of it. So in the board of trustees, we have 7 members in the board of trustees. Same thing with the executive board. We have also 7 members. And we have president, Brother Misbah Karim, who is here. Raise your hand, Brother Misbah. Okay. Okay. Now, I like to introduce also our board of trustees member as well as our renovation committee members. So the renovation committee is part of the board of trustee who is actually, overseeing this construction. So can I request all the board of trustees member, Brother Farooq, could you please come here? Brother Sajid, could you please come here? Brother Salim, please come here. Sister Alma, could you please come here? Sister Kakashan, okay. Could you please come here? So we are missing who? We are missing one. Okay. So the reason I want to introduce you so that these are the brothers and sisters, they are basically working tirelessly because this is board of trustee. Beside that executive board, where is Brother Sufyan? Are you here? Okay, here. Could you please come next to the president? So he's the vice president of MCA and Brother Misbah is the president. So board of trustee and executive board, we are working very tirelessly to serve you, to bring program activities as well as, new areas of, program activities as such, building 3.0. So with the board of trustees is Brother Salim. He is our treasurer. So all the money goes to him. The money that you are paying goes to him. He is holding all the money for this construction. All right. And then Brother Sajid Sulaiman, please raise your hand. So, mashallah, Brother Sajid Sulaiman, he's the one actually leading all the efforts of the facilities, constructions, and professionally, he is also in this construction management, mashallah. And then Brother Farooq, mashallah, that we are launching our endowment, and that will be a presentation about this endowment, inshallah, immediately after this presentation. So he's leading our endowment part. Sister Kakashan on my right hand side. She's our secretary for board of trustees. And then Sister Alma. She's our communication secretary. All those information that you get about 3.0 comes through her. We are missing one. Sister Maha. She's our legal secretary. She is not here. I'm not sure if she is somewhere here. So these are the composition of the board of trustee. Now, beside that, we have under Board of Trustee, that renovation committee. So Brother Farooq, please come forward. Another Farooq. This is Farooq from the Granada School. Brother Adil, could you please come forward? Brother Saeed is not here, right? Okay. So Brother Adil, he's our architect, the main person that who is designing. You see, as you go, like as you see the design out there on the screen, that's him. Then Brother Farooq, he's also part of our renovation committee. He's representing from the Granada school side. So mashallah, we have all those members in this, committee and subcommittee. They are serving, to serve you the best. So inshallah, with that one, I'm just going to go over quickly about this presentation and about this, progress that we made about 3.0. As you see that building, this is not the current 3.0. This is the one going to be look like after we complete the, construction. So going to next two slide, as you see this slide, that on February last year, we initiated this groundbreaking ceremony. As you see here, there are a lot of enthusiasm from the community, particularly from the young or so. They were very interested, then, that wanted to complete this, project and complete this building so that we have more space for our youth and for our, educational needs as well as community needs. Now, there are three aspects of that area that you may have seen this one before. One is that community, another one is the school, and the other one is that sports arena. The major area within the community that falls into that, the community that the hall, then the different youth centers, boys and girls, then school area that will have middle school, high school. Currently we have in this building, we'll be, moving those to that new building, inshallah. And then part of the sports that we have multi-purpose sports arena, which will be our basketball court, pickleball, then volleyball, then ping pong, and many others in that building. Now, as you see, the 3D view of here, there are some changes here, what you have seen last year. I need to get down here to show that, what changes are there that we made. Particularly that if you are able to see here, you see that refreshment lounge here. The refreshment lounge here, right? These are the new addition. It was not there before. We added that because we found that, it's a big building with a sports arena and everything. If we do not have any, it's a refreshment thing like tea, coffee, juice, so that we added that part over there. So that's a new addition over there. Then also we added that small meeting room here for board members or any other meeting, that is small meeting room that we added that one. Also we added there one of our storage area. So you see that some storage area we added there. So those are the new addition that we, added with this one, which was not there before. Then others are all there that, as you see that, different activity centers. With those new addition that we felt that, that will serve our community the best, our needs. And again, there are many other things that, the community members are asking. But with this limited space that we need to really see that what is the most urgent or what is the most appropriate for us to use it. Okay, so now I wanted to go and show that some progress that what we made. So if we can see that in a video, you can increase the volume. She's taking you from building 1 to building 2 to building 3.
يا نور يا نور يا محكم يا تنزيل لمحمد عن جبريل رب العرش دليل العالم والإنسان.
Volume. No, just close that area so that way it doesn't go there. So this is a drone view that we have taken recently as part of the construction. Can everybody hear me? Can everybody hear me, or is it a little too low? Can you increase the volume a little bit? I think it's way too low here. Okay. So it shows actually that, where we are with this, current construction, as is a 3D, the drone view that we have taken like in end of February. So as you see, this is open space. This is that sports arena where those ceiling going to be 30 feet high. So that's why that is still open, that we will be developing that one or, closing that one soon. You cannot hear? So that is, volume is coming from the back side, not from the front side. This side, no volume coming, so it's coming on the back side. Okay, now it is fine. Okay, here we go. So everybody can hear now. All right, so this is basically showing, you see the top on the roof, those are the areas we are waiting for, those HVAC system, that all the roof up there, all the HVAC as soon as come, we will be putting those on the HVAC system. All right, so let's go to the PowerPoint, so that way, so this is like, currently that where we are in terms of construction. Now we will go to show that, let's see. Okay. All right, so this slide, if you see that, look at the bottom of the slide, this is what we really need to see, that, that design permit progress, so that project progress, that's where we want to see. So this is the project, the progress. We have completed 40% of the project, so which is a huge, progress that since last year. So that's kind of, if you, don't look into all of them, just look at the bottom part of it. So that 40% completion. Now, the funding perspective, like, these are the all breakdown of the funding, but I want you to concentrate on this funding progress part here. So as you see that, total project cost is 9.5 million. So far we have spent, 3.8 million, and funds available about, 0.8 or 0.9 million in our hand. And we need around 6 million, to complete the project. Another 6 million, close to 6 million. Now, our ask for this year that, we are looking to raise 4 million for this year. This year means 2025. So that's what we are looking for, so that way we can complete this project in time. Let's see. All right. So that's we show you the timeline, we show you the funding, then now comes that area that what steps that we have taken to avoid cost. Now, as you know that our president raised tariff, like, 25% tariff. So to avoid the tariff, some of the major expenses areas that, huge cost, we, ordered proactively. We, started our RFP request for, proposals and all those. We went through, different vendors, almost 10 vendors in different area. One is that mechanical, and another one is structural steel. Mechanical is basically the HVAC system or units. So we worked with them, we got the quote, and we already ordered. We placed those orders, we paid those already. So it's about 1.7 million, those combination, So now think about it that, if we have to pay 25% tariff, which will be almost like, $450,000. So it's basically a saving of $450,000 of your money, of our money, by ordering them proactively. So those items are already on our way. Within 3 weeks probably time frame, we'll be receiving it. As you saw that in the video, as soon as the HVAC system comes, we're going to put them up on the top. It is ready, so that's kind of, where the savings is. Other part also that we work also proactively that, the grant, we have been working on the grant. We hired a grant writer, part-time grant writer. She's working, hard to get some of the other grants that where we can get those grants, for those, constructions and other project, other program as well, including Granada School, some of the educational. So looking into different aspect of that for our needs, the institutional needs. So one of them that we received this award from Santa Clara Power. What is it called? Silicon Valley Power, right? Silicon Valley Power, which is under Santa Clara Utility. So we received that, $154,000, which is like a solar grant for this masjid and then Masjid al-Nur. So that's another part that we are working on. So that's a saving for us. Then wanted to show this one. Remember we mentioned about the refreshment or like, center or lounge. This was not there, but you see the lounge, it looks very beautiful, but I'm not sure that there will be server or not once we open it. So hope that we have the server, right? So that's the refreshment lounge. Then next one is, this is our night view that once completed that building, that's how, gorgeous, going to be look like. And then our ask is that, okay, we need your help and to support. Inshallah, we'll make it with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and with your help and contribution, we'll be able to open the door in the mid of 2026. Our plan is to open this door of this building so that 2026 school year for Granada, we can have additional students as well as we can open for middle school and high school. So one of the part is going to be for school that currently 480 students at Granada. It will increase our student population to 900. So which will be a big plus for our student community and for our youth. Now with that one, I'm just going to hand it over to Brother Adil that, from construction perspective, and also Brother, Sajid, that maybe if there is any question, they can answer. From a structural perspective, any other, Brother Adil can take care of that. So if anybody has any question, construction, structural, any of those area, please ask Brother Adil. By the way, this is going live in Instagram, Facebook, and others. So this is live basically. So we have about, I think 8,000 or 10,000 viewers. So they're seeing this presentation. Any question?
All right, Assalamu alaikum. So I guess Muhammad Islam gave the updates of where we're at. Quite a lot of construction is going on, has been going on for the last 6 or 8 months. We've been picking up pace very well. We have several permits in hand. There are some other permits that we're still working on because, again, it's a big project. We go step by step. At the moment, our interiors permit is in review with the city. So, inshallah, the plan is, we didn't want to wait for all the permits. We started so that we can get the project done before the fall of 26, so get the school started. Some of the recent milestones that were accomplished were the building was made weather tight just before the rain. So that's another thing that we've been working on. So our contractor has been trying to get the roofing done before the rain came, which he was able to. We had to deal with one rain, but after that we got things done. The openings were created in the existing, if you know the building, it's all tilt-up building, pretty dark inside. We're creating new openings, new windows. Those were saw cut. And they have been sort of boarded up. So at the moment, the building is in a good shape. Um, uh, but inshallah, you'll see a lot of progress this year. And again, yeah, so Brother Islam is asking what is a TI? So TI is called tenant improvements, is the interior design. All of the interior walls and doors and windows and ceiling and floor, all of that is interior. So that's a different permit altogether that we're working on. So, that's sort of the high level of it. If there are any questions about what's going in the building, any questions about the design, happy to take them. Okay, sure. Yes. Yeah, I think there's a couple of factors, right? One is what Brother Muhammad Islam talked about, the funding. The other factor is our interiors permit review. We're hoping we'll get that review completed before summer. And so if things go well, inshallah, we should be a good 70 to 80%. After that, the big push will be for what we call FF&Es, like the equipment, the furniture. The school part has a lot of furniture that they need to order, a lot of specialized equipment. There's a science lab. The sports arena has a lot of equipment. There's the retractable bleachers. We're putting basketball hoops, which are retractable. So there's a lot of other things. So we're hoping that a lot of that construction can be completed this year. And next year will be primarily fitting things up to prep the building, inshallah. Yes. You have a question?
I have comments, some questions, but don't get offended. It may sound really hard.
Okay, go ahead.
Jazakallah. Again, I have a few comments and some questions, but please don't get offended. Remember when Umar ibn al-Khattab was corrected by a woman and he said, "Akhta Umar wa asabat imra'a." Umar was wrong and the woman was correct. So the comments, it would be better if you can, for example, put on the presentation how many students or additional students this gonna serve, what's the increase in the, for example, the school population. Also, I thought maybe there will be like construction cost breakdown between the different sections of the project. Like you have the lounge, you have the clinic, you have the classrooms, you have the courts. What is the breakdown of that cost? That is something I'm very much interested in. Also, how will the running cost be covered? This seems like a fancy building with lots of running costs for the future. It's good that we buy a fancy car, but we need to think how we're gonna run it or if we can afford the gas afterward. Will this put a lot of burden on the community in terms of donations for the future? And then we will be really struggling to cover the running cost, or you have a plan to cover the running cost? And what is like the total capacity of the building? Like at a time, how many people it's gonna serve from our community? I'm not sure if you have any survey, what is the size of the Muslim population in like the Silicon Valley or area? And how is this like proportion like gonna serve like? And my last and very harsh maybe question is like, I looked and it seems like the total budget is about $10 million. And this like a little bit struck me about the board and maybe the previous board and maybe the whole community's thought of priorities. About maybe 2/3 of the project or the cost is going to the school and the facility helping the school and expanding the school. But for example, I am as a member in the community, I cannot afford to bring my children to this school. This school is above my budget. And I'm not sure if this means that I am a low income here, or if this school is for the high income, or if there is a better way where we can use like $10 million to make the Islamic education more affordable and accessible as like full-time Islamic education to every Muslim child in the valley, instead of going fancy about things that will only serve that section of the community that can afford to send their kids to Grenada. Even if I can afford to send my kids to Grenada, when I came here, they put me on a wait list for 3 years. And then after my kids grew up, and then for that level, I couldn't afford even to pay, and that's it. So you don't have to answer. Think about it. Jazakumullah khairan.
For the school part, I would ask, like, Brother Farooq, if you can just quickly respond to that school part, that affordability perspective. So, yeah, just quickly, I know that there are a few others we can answer.
Assalamu alaikum. So first, we will have a capacity of up to 400 additional students. Okay. So we will have up to more than 400 to 500 additional students. And the first year we will have about 250. We will ramp up as we go along. As for affordability question, yes, that is a very expensive place to live here. And we have staff, and you can attend our GIS board meetings to get all the details, what is the budget and everything that is sent to community at large, parents, which are our community on the Grenada side. So yes, as compared to the other schools in this area, Islamic schools, we are pretty much in the same cost, basically same cost as the other Islamic schools. And if you look at it, we have 3 additional subjects that we teach on top of what the California state teaches. So we have additional teachers, and we have, and that is one of our benefits of, obviously. So that is expensive, but as a community, we have MCA 1.0, and community supports the whole next generation, basically. So, but I cannot really make it, we keep it as, literally we are 90 to 95% of the tuition goes to the school. There is no additional cost that we do. This will be we are funding this. And your comment about 2/3 of the new building, no, it's less than 30%.
Yeah, one second. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum, brother. So I'm just going to answer. I'm on the BOT. I was on the GIS board, and as far as affordability, we also have financial aid. So if you compare what Grenada is charging, about $800 per month, compare that comparatively speaking to all the private schools, Challenger, Stratford, it's relatively low. And if you could apply to, let's just say financial aid, you could get it as low as $50 a month. So currently at Grenada, we have over 55 students that are on financial aid. And I think as we continue growing, our zakat and our financial aid will grow as well. And so if there are families within the community that want to be able to apply, we have financial aid, and they'll be able to benefit. And not only is that beneficial, but we have, the weekend Islamic schools, we have the Sunday school, we have the HIFZ program, we have the Boy Scouts. There's so many other opportunities that people within the community are going to be able to get and benefit from. So if you're interested, you can always reach out to the school and find ways to getting your children enrolled, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. So, yeah, so go ahead. You wanted to answer like few others because you want to move to that next.
Yeah, I'll take some of your other questions. I didn't find any of them harsh, by the way, so they were pretty good questions. So total population, school population is 480 right now. It's going to go up to 900 with that. As far as the cost, I think the building, we've kind of dressed it up a little bit. It looks nice, I think. I designed it, thank you. But it's not going to cost much. It's, if you look at the cost per square feet of this type of construction, it's a 35,000 square foot floor plate. There are certain decisions we made. One of them was to put a sports arena. If you are in the Bay Area, there is no Muslim facility that has a tournament size basketball court for schools, high schools, right? So as our community grows, we need to create these kind of establishments where our youth can actually do real sports, right? So if they play sports somewhat competitively, it just enables going into universities and all those things. So it's, going beyond just the occasional sports to actual putting facilities that can provide proper sports is an amenity, I think. I think your other questions were people. So I think on the student side, I told you that the school is about 35% of the floor plate. Then we're providing a fitness center for women. And if you ask the sisters here, there is no dedicated gym or fitness center for ladies in the area. We can go, men can go several places, ladies don't go that many places, right? So some of these things are there, which would be, you would still have a room, but if you create a proper facility, then it supports the community long term. Did I miss anything? Was there?
Other thing what we can do, maybe further questions, inshallah, we can address it separately because we have another presentation that wanted to go for the endowment. That's what we're going to be launching. I know Brother Ziad raised hand, so yeah, go ahead. So quickly.
I just wanted to say that the school space is actually multi-use. So even though it's classrooms, we have 5 schools that come in, and there's nothing wrong about us using that space, at least when the school is not in session. As for example, we can think of like having a college, having like upper classes, etc. They are currently, all the schools' facilities are actually used by other facilities, other schools, like for example, the Boy Scouts, the ARCOM, all the other stuff. So technically what the subsidy that the community does to the school is less than 30% of what the overall school expenses are. Jazakumullah khair for everything. Great thing about the cafe. Jazakumullah khair.
All right, so wanted to go for another part that which is be really exciting, and we are really excited about it, that about the endowment, right? I think all of us, we know the endowment, and we initiated a couple of times, and we took kind of a nosedive, if you will. But inshallah, this time, we are trying to get this endowment going, and we want to go pretty strong with the changes that require so that, this can continuously grow for next 10, 15 years. Without any of those assets being taken away from there. So that's kind of our plan. So with that one, I will ask Brother Farooq, inshallah, go ahead and present that endowment, and then we'll have maybe little question answer at the end. So Brother Farooq, if you want to come here so that everybody can see their out, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. I just want to start with a quick overview of what Waqf is, because I know there's a lot of people watching online, so maybe just a level set, like in terms of what Waqf is and how is it different from other forms of charity that that we as Muslims give. This is something that we don't deal with on a day-to-day basis, so I think it's a good reminder for everybody to understand like what it is and what it entails and so on and so forth. Then we'll go a little bit into like what is the history of Waqf with the Muslims. How are some of the other endowments in the world operating? And then we'll go into how MCA is planning to do it and where we are right now. So, yeah, so these are sort of the, I've just put in essentially what Waqf is in terms of Islamic perspective or Sharia perspective. So it's basically a non-perishable object that you donate. So non-perishable means that a food cannot be waqf or endowment. So, a house can be an endowment, a building can be an endowment, an agricultural land can be endowment. Any of those things which are fixed assets generally or monetary assets can be endowments, but not perishable. That is a one-time use only. And essentially, these are the 8 conditions of making a waqf, right? So it has to be something valuable. It should be justly gained through halal means. It should be given as charity, meaning it's a one-way donation. You cannot take it back. It's in continuity. So whatever you're giving, it'll continue to exist perpetually, inshallah. It's with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it'll exist forever. But yeah, if physically it perishes after some time, after a few years, after a few decades, it can be rebuilt and reused. Then it should be for a righteous purpose, because there are endowments like secular endowments that are not necessarily for righteous purposes. It should be done in a righteous manner as well. If there is anything involved in the process which is not Sharia compliant, then this becomes, shaky. Then the most important part is the intent, which should come first, but basically we want to emphasize it here that it is with the intent of giving whatever you're giving to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're transferring the ownership to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and for a reward in the hereafter. Any questions here so far? All right, so why do we make a waqf? Where does it come from? Anyone? So it basically comes from this hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, who said, when a person dies, his deeds come to an end, except for 3 things. And the first thing you mentioned is sadaqah jariyah, which is a lasting charity. And waqf falls under that category, or it's actually probably the biggest category of that type. And then he talked about the knowledge that benefits people. And then he talks about a good child who keeps making dua for his parents. So we'll also see how is waqf different from other charitable forms of giving, like for example, sadaqah and zakat, right? So there are some marked differences between the 3. So zakat is obligatory, that's important. Other sadaqat other than zakat are non-obligatory, and so is waqf. Waqf is not necessary. If you don't make a waqf during your entire lifetime, you're okay. Then zakat has a qualification and a threshold, right? So there is a certain qualification who needs to pay zakat, and there's a certain threshold of wealth that they need to have before zakat is obligatory on them. And sadaqah and waqf are flexible, right? So even if you're not zakat liable, you may still make a waqf. That's totally fine. Zakat is only once a year. Sadaqah and waqf can be anytime, any number of times, whenever. Then zakat has a specific percentage of the savings or wealth. The other 2 forms, zakat, sadaqah and waqf, do not have. They are flexible. You can give whatever is possible for you. Then there are defined category of beneficiaries of zakat. Those need to be honored. For sadaqah and waqf, so for sadaqah in general, there is no specific category. For waqf, there could be a category depending on the person who is giving the waqf. They can define the category, or they can define a specific use of what they're doing. They could leave it open as well, but it is flexible. Let's see a few more. So zakah and sadaqah, the donor cannot benefit, right? So you cannot give sadaqah to somebody and then take it back and use it. But waqf, absolutely you can. So if you donate a masjid or a land for a masjid, you can definitely come in and pray, you can make use of the facilities, totally fine. Zakah and sadaqah are not for the wealthy. So if you see the ayat from the Quran and the hadith, they are not meant for the wealthy. But waqf, the wealthy can benefit, as I just mentioned, right? You can benefit from a masjid that has been given as waqf by yourself or even by others. You can still benefit from such donations. There is ownership transfer in zakah and sadaqah, right? So you're giving ownership to somebody. In waqf, there is no ownership transfer to anybody. So in theory, as the books of fiqh and Islamic scholars define it, it's a transfer of ownership to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's basically it. You're not transferring ownership to anybody. Yes, in order to manage that property or manage that asset, there is a management organization. So for example, in this case, MCA will be that organization, but MCA as such, legally it has the ownership, but then Sharia point of view, MCA is not the owner. The owner is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of this. And this is why it's called perpetual, because if you give it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's perpetual. And actually, it does not need any paperwork. The moment you make an intention that you're giving something as waqf, your waqf starts from that moment. Then yeah, this is something that I mentioned earlier also, that whatever you're giving could be consumable as zakah and sadaqah, right? You could give a piece, a bunch of food in sadaqah, absolutely acceptable, but it's consumable. Waqf is non-consumable. It needs to stay for a very long time. And last but not the least, here in zakah and sadaqah, donors generally do not stipulate how that donated amount is going to be used. You give it to somebody, they can use it the way they want. But with waqf, you can put a condition on how that specific donation can be used. It's not necessary, but the donor can put a condition on how it can be used. So that's basically it. And then we look at some historic waqf across the world. And some of them, anyone, like the most famous ones? Anyone? The most famous waqf? Not as famous, but okay, I'll start with the first one. The Quba Masjid. That was in person to the Prophet ﷺ. The owner of the land gave it to him. And until the day of judgment, whoever is praying there, all the rewards go to them. Next is the Prophet's mosque. Even that land was given to the Prophet ﷺ by the owners as waqf. There are many others during the life of the Prophet ﷺ, but I'm not going to go into those. As the brother Ziyad mentioned, the Uthman, his waqf is still running into probably billions of dollars. But yeah, it's a massive waqf. Another very famous example is Qarawiyyin University. That's in Morocco. It's over 1,000 years and still running perfectly well. It's one of the most famous universities in the Muslim world. Then we have Al-Azhar University, another 1,000 years. It's been running and doing well. We have the Umayyah Masjid, Jami al-Umayyi. Again, more than 1,000 years. So these are some of the very solid, very famous examples of waqf that have been running for over 1,000 years. Then we have the Al-Aqsa compound, which is 800 plus years. Not just the masjid, but the entire compound. There's a lot of waqf in there. Some of the commercial property and all of that is also waqf. Then we have the Hagia Sophia Masjid in Istanbul, over 500 years old. When Sultan Muhammad father took it over, he made it a waqf. Then we have the Jama Masjid in India, which is 300 plus years old. And last but not the least, we have another relatively modern university, Aligarh Muslim University in India, which is 100 plus years. And in Muslim world, there are literally probably millions of waqf. Many are registered, many are not registered. We don't know how many there are. Every single masjid, every single small place where children are learning Quran is a waqf. So there are literally millions of them. So uncountable, but these are some of the most famous and the biggest ones. So there's a fun fact about waqf that I wanted to share. By the early 1800s, more than 50% of all agricultural land under the Ottoman rule was waqf. You can imagine how big that will be. Agricultural land from the east to the west, from the west of Africa all the way to wherever east, that was under waqf. And this is not something that I'm making up. There's data about that. And that included 75% of agricultural land in present-day Turkey, half in Algeria, about 1/3 in Tunis, 1/3 in Greece, 1/5 in Egypt, and 1/7 in Iran. So those are massive pieces of land that were under waqf. And those were agricultural land, not just any land. And this data comes from a source which is fairly reliable. There's a book written by Amy Singer, who's an American professor, who written a book on charity in Islamic societies. And very interestingly, when she wrote the book, she was in a different part of the world. And sometimes when it comes from the other side of the fence, it's more, gives us some reassurance that the data is correct. Right? So this is fairly reliable data. You can read about the historian. She's currently in Brandeis University. She's a famous historian specialist in autumn industry. Yeah, let's go to the secular endowments around the world, right? So some of the biggest endowments, like we see in the United States, in the Bay Area, we have some of the biggest endowments. The oldest one is University of Oxford in the UK. It's over 1,000 years old. And currently they run at $8 billion, their endowment fund. University of Cambridge, also 800 plus years, about 400 billion pounds of endowment money they have. Harvard University is one of the biggest in the US. It's $52 billion of endowment fund. They have spun up a professional company to manage their assets because this is a sizable asset. And they've been around for 380 plus years. Then we have MIT, 35 billion. They've also been around for more than 150 years. We have Stanford right next door. They are at $37 billion. So, yeah, and they have also been around for quite a long time, 140 years. Then we have, in the UK, we have a Wellcome Trust, which is a healthcare trust, and they run at 37 billion pounds. St. Jude's Research Hospital, that's in the US. They've been around for 60 years. They run at $8 billion. And this is the biggest healthcare foundation that exists in the US. We also have endowments that fund software and media and all of that. So we have this Wikimedia Foundation, which is around 25 years old, not that big, it's $100 million. We also have a lot of nonprofits supporting software industry, as a lot of us are in the software industry. I mean, Apache Foundation, the Free Software Foundation, they're supporting billions of dollars of software. They're making sure that everybody has access to that software. If we did not have those foundations, we will not see any startups around the Bay Area, because most of the startups start with free software that is either a Free Software Foundation or Apache in most cases. So this big contribution to the society in general. All right, so let's go to what MCA is doing. Right, so we're launching our endowment fund. We are actively working on fine-tuning the endowment structure. As Brother Islam was saying, this has been in the works for a while, and I believe Brother Ziad has spent quite a lot of time on this. So what we're taking that is whatever legwork was done, we're just taking that into and trying to put it into our existing structure and making it fine-tuned. So we're trying to set up a service organization and a board that is going to be responsible for that endowment. Probably some constitutional amendments in the MCA constitution. We're looking to continuously develop the fund for approximately the next 10 years. And we're targeting to achieve about $15 million of a base money before we're going to take anything out of that. So essentially, when we say we're going to take anything out of that, it's only going to be from the revenue, not from the money that people donate, right? So what is going to happen is that the revenue that is going to be generated in those 10 years, as we grow, we will keep reinvesting back into the fund, right? Until it reaches $10 million. And after that, whatever revenue starts to come, we're going to put it back into various, maintaining our facility, maybe, investing into a Granada Islamic school, other things that are going on in the community, maybe some charity work, and so on and so forth. So essentially the idea is that we want to take it to a level where MCA becomes self-sustaining, right? So the annual maintenance operations cost is covered by the returns from these funds. And until that point, we want to just keep growing that fund and not withdraw anything from there. Currently, we have a seed capital about 400K, which is invested with the North American Islamic Trust. They have something called the Islamic Centers Cooperative Fund, and this is where we've put that money so that it stays safe and it's going at a reasonable pace. We're now soliciting commitments from community members for donations. So any of you who are online, any of you in the room, if you're looking to make an endowment donation or a waqf, we're open to accept that, inshallah. And assets we accept, of course, must be Sharia compliant. Could be real estate, could be any of the financial instruments like cash, stocks, ETF, crypto, 401k, and so on and so forth. A bit of look into the vision as well for future. we're thinking of, the first 10 years about the $15 million that we just talked about. Then from that point onwards, like from 10 to 15 years, we're targeting to grow the fund to $30 million. All the while, making use of the returns and putting them into our operational costs and other things. So some of the ideas around that is as we grow the fund, we're thinking to grow the MCA campus, maybe by enabling buildings so we can expand our parking, we can expand our usable space, and also in education institutions, maybe expand Granada as well by another building where Granada can expand through acquisition of property. Then this is probably very inspirational. It's 15 to 20 years, things change, but we do have some inspiration, so we're thinking to target the growth of the fund to somewhere between $50 to $100 million. And at that point, we can think about expanding MCA footprint beyond Santa Clara, right? Have masjids which are in other cities, which MCA can manage. Maybe even expand, for example, Granada, branching it out. Maybe open another branch of Granada in another city where there's requirement for the Muslim community to have their kids go to Muslim schools. And then again, developing other service institutions as we go into these next 25 years. We don't know what the future brings for us, so inshallah we'll see how it goes. And that's about it. Open to any questions, concerns, comments, inshallah. Happy to take that. Yes.
Yeah, Jazakallah khairan. By the way, the largest endowment in the world currently is the Japanese Agency for Science and Technology, $85 billion. Do you have an investment plan? How you're going to invest the money? You're going to collect, start collecting, and you're going to invest immediately, or wait until you have $15 million and then start investing? Also, it's very important that, for example, the secular endowments, who are actually, it's like if someone is very good investment, they tell him that you're as good as a school endowment. Like, this is a good investment, as good as a school endowment investment, because it generates usually between 10 and 12% on the capital every year. But in that endowment, they reinvest back 50% of their revenue, and then they spend, for example, Harvard, it has $52 billion. It generates 12%, let's say $6 billion every year. They reinvested $3 billion in the endowment back, and they spend $3 billion on the school for the other expenses, and they never stop. So I suggest that you never stop that strategy, even if you reach like $70 million, because 20 years from now, or 30 years from now, you don't know what's the cost, what's the community need, what's the community size. So I suggest that you don't actually put a line to stop. And the most important thing is how compliant, because I've seen people claiming that the investment is Sharia compliant, but it's mostly secular. It's mostly a lot of bonds, a lot of things. And I've researched this before, and I found that actually the options for, if we want something like really pure as much as possible, that is away from interest, away from bonds, which is pure interest or pure riba, we have like agricultural, it's tedious. We have some real estate options, Islamic bonds in few Muslim countries. Is there any vision on that, and how you're going to make sure that you're going to use the money in as pure as possible and not looking for the profit? Jazakallah khair.
Yeah, so I can answer some of these questions. So inshallah, yes, as you said, brother, we plan. So this is just a vision for the next 25 years. We're not going to stop at 25. Inshallah, it'll keep going forever as long as the world exists. Inshallah, and this masjid exists, we'll continue to do that. And yes, so what we're planning to do, we also have a more tactical, detailed document, kind of laying out the strategy of how are we going to invest it, what are the different areas, and there can be many avenues, right? But at the moment, like at the beginning, where we do not have the expertise, where we do not have the ability to hire a professional entity to do this investment, this is why we're looking to set up a board. So this board will be a set of volunteers, inshallah, who are experts, maybe some of them in finance, some of them maybe in real estate, and so on and so forth. So this board essentially is going to take this fund forward and then make decisions on how best to invest this. And also, we're going to be working with some consultants who have come up in the last 5 to 6 years They have helped organizations like Yaqeen Foundation, they've helped the Epic Masjid in Dallas in setting up their fund and ensuring how to, validate that their investments are Sharia compliant. So there are instruments available now. There are, mashallah, people out there who can advise on this. There are funds like Amana that are out there that can make sure that the fund you're investing is halal and it's in Sharia compliant. So there are a number of these options there. So those are the things that we were going to be investing. So just to clarify that.
There are other part as well, like, that endowment, it's one of the organizational structure, that how that organization, particularly MCA, as I mentioned, that we used to have endowment before, but that endowment is gone. Because when we acquired building 2.0, somehow the board decided at that time that that is more important. So before we go do any of those things, there are many things that we need to do. Part of it, how are we going to protect this endowment fund? So today we are here. As you know, the board changes every year, if you will, right? So because, 2-year term, but, each year changes, like, the board. So we need to change that, our constitution and bylaw, some of those things, we need to bring it there. Otherwise, what happened? We take this initiative, and then next board comes, some other project comes, and they said, okay, this is important, and let's take money from there. So before we go any further, I think this is something that we really need to fix, which requires our constitutional amendment, where they will protect this, fund, so that we do not, use this fund under any circumstances, right? That no matter what, we need to grow at least 10 to 15 years or more continuously to grow this fund. So this is something that one of the most challenging part that we have in our hand. And then, inshallah, as we, go forward, we have all the experts that we'll bring together to make sure this is, Sharia compliant and others, this kind of what it is, inshallah.
Just one more comment. So once we reach a certain threshold, we're thinking like, it's very out, in the future, inshallah, but we're thinking like once we reach an amount like $100 million fund, we may actually spin up a professional entity that can manage all these assets, right? Then we can afford to pay professionals and hire them and get their expertise. But at the moment, we're not at that stage, right? So we will ask for community members who are experts in this to come and join the board and help us in running this organization. So at the moment, we do not have a board. We are going to work on getting a board set up, a separate organization, just like we have Granada today. We're looking to set up a new organization that will manage this endowment. Yes,
Sorry, but I think, at least when I was on the board, building 2 was part of the Waqf, which is by 2028, it'll be back, because right now we're basically the rent is paying the loan on it. But in 2028, once the loan is paid, that building is at least designated to be part of the foundation as a Waqf. So I just found that it's not part of your list.
Yeah, we'll be looking into it, because this is something that, we need to go and look into those charter or the foundation, that how that was developed and all those things. So we'll be looking into that, inshallah. There was a brother, okay, there was another brother asked, what's that, you or who? Yeah.
A very quick question, that you are planning to have this $15 million from within 10 years, you mentioned, plus right now you are also working on 3.0, which requires a lot of capital, and you are saying that you are not taking any donation money from that, or you are taking all the revenue. So how are you planning to do that? Is it going to cut down the current expenditure or the projects which are going on at MCA, any activities at MCA? What exactly your plan is? How are you planning to build that 100 million within 15 years? And second question is that what are the planned constitutional changes you are planning to do?
Very good question. So one is that, our operation and then construction, what's going on, that going to continue. So we are not going to stop any of those things. These are something that we are planning for future. Now, with the planning, there are stakeholders out there like you. There are many, like, those who are growing kind of older, that mashallah, they have money. Allah has given them wealth. There are people, they are looking forward to donate that. right? So it's not that we are waiting to collect like, those donations, because, donation is not going to help, right? Endowment is a completely different ball game, right? Somebody want to donate their retirement, somebody want to donate their real estate property, somebody like a big amount, right? That's what we're going to reach out. It's not that from the operation fund, or not that from the construction fund. These are two different things that we'll continue to do that one, inshallah. What your other question was? No, no.
Yeah, inshallah. So that building also is a waqf. So inshallah, you're contributing to the waqf, but still there are two different aspects to it, right? One is a waqf for the future, which is the fund we're talking about, and one is a waqf from the building, which is MCA 3.0, and maybe if you go for other buildings. So inshallah, they are all waqf, but they are different forms of waqf.
Assalamu alaikum. As Brother Islam said, few years back, endowment situation started under Brother Naim Reza, Salman Khan, and somehow, because of the 2.0, it died down. But I'm glad we are starting again. This is for the betterment of the organization, because the donations are separate, buildings are separate, but endowment is like, my husband died, so I want to invest in his name charity. So these are separate from the association's structure. One more thing I wanted to tell you, in Morocco, the Fez University is under endowment, established by a woman, which is still running on. So you can add her name also.
MashaAllah, that's good. So that's an inspiration that, MashaAllah, from within our community, there are a lot of sisters. Maybe they will be the first one to start that kind of big amount of the endowment fund, inshallah. So, and there are many actually. I have spoken many of those brothers and sisters. They're interested in the endowment because everybody has a different interest, right? Somebody want to the endowment, somebody want to, the construction, and so different thing. Like as we collect, almost like 10, 15 different area when we collect fund, so that those fund remains within the designated area and we spend on the designated area. So that's kind of things. You had a question?
So yes, sister, you're absolutely right. So the reason we mentioned constitutional changes are because of that. We want to make sure that this board who's going to be running the endowment does not go and take it and invest into something else. So we're going to make, that's why we're talking about constitutional changes, so that it becomes, kind of binding for the board to keep it there and not use it for any other purpose. Yeah, inshallah.
Starting for a very good presentation, and actually we learned a lot, at least myself also. So I have questions. So you have been working this at least past 2-3 months, and have you had a chance to talk to other Muslim organizations since they have done this and successful, and do you have any stories to tell to us, inshallah?
Yeah, Jazakallah khair for asking. So we have some of our very respected community members in our community. They have got good connections with some of these Islamic centers, and we're learning from them. So that's how we're kind of building what are the most important things that we bring into our constitution to protect this fund. So that is the most important thing for us right now. And we've talked to, there's a brother who runs, mashallah, 22 Islamic centers in Houston. He was with us. He's a board member of MATE. We had some discussions with him as well. They are open and willing to help us with the constitutional changes and all those details. We're also in contact with some other institutions indirectly through our committee members, because they have contacts with them. So inshallah, we're learning from all these different societies, the Tumma and some of the others who have already set up an endowment. So we're trying to learn from their experiences and kind of even learn from their mistakes, and making sure that inshallah we don't make those mistakes and we make it more smooth.
All right, it's time for Soul Fest. Another question? Okay. No Soul Fest then.
So first of all, I would like to comment this presentation. It's a really good presentation and well-needed effort for current times. One question while you were talking about constitutional amendment is like, do you have a list of bullet points where, like, after, let's say, this endowment endowment fund has been developed for like 15 million plus or something like that, and the returns start coming, what are the allowable list items where these returns can be invested? Like you talked a couple of items like self-sustaining the masjid or like increasing the Islamic footprint or masajid in the Bay Area. But what exactly are allowed things? I think this is a really important point to be addressed in constitutional amendment right now, before even the developing the fund. One more thing is that at this point, like Muslims around the world are in a dire situation, and we are here in a really powerful and like a strategic position to somehow like change that position. So I think in that regard, and we also know that there is a mu'allafatu qulubihim, like even in zakat. So we also need a like somehow a strategy to change the position of Muslims around the world, and MCA can be a starting point for that, and that can also be a discussion part while we talk about like those bullet points where the returns can be invested. Jazakumullah khairan. I think this is an open question on what these bullet points should be.
Yeah, so you're absolutely spot on. So this is what we inshallah plan to do. Essentially, when the board comes into existence, the board will have a charter, like what they're supposed to do, and they have to follow the charter. In addition to the charter, we've been talking to some investment advisors as well, like particularly in the endowment area. There's mashallah many Muslims who are doing that. So the next step is to set up what is called the investment charter. The investment charter defines exactly what you mentioned, right? Where will they be invested, how will they be operated, and all the details. How will the Sharia compliance be maintained, how are you going to do accounting, how are you going to do all those things. So essentially that's the work of that board. And in that charter, I mean, I have prepared something like very aspirational, and it includes things like, we can invest in even startups at some point, right? So if there's a startup looking for funding, and if we have the fund, and if we are agreeing to do that, we can probably fund that startup if it's profitable. Or, going into commercial property, like for example, we could set up doctor offices, right? I mean, things that are really halal to do, doctor offices, dentist offices, and all those things. But all that needs first this constitutional amendment so that we protect the fund. And then after the constitutional amendment comes into effect, we need to set up the board, we get the board elected, and then let that board run the fund. So it's a step-by-step process. Right now, we're just kind of thinking of what we need to make in terms of changes in the constitution first, and then rest will follow from there, inshallah. But we are thinking here a little bit. We do have some strategy for operations as well, like what should the investment charter look like, how should the board members be elected. We have some legal reviews also by previous members like Brother Zia and so when they had done some, actually they've done an entire bylaw for this organization as well. So we're looking at that again, we're kind of fine-tuning it so that we can bring it into action. Sure.
All right, with that, I think inshallah we're going to end this session. Jazakallah khair for your coming and joining, and your that understanding and your enthusiasm to come and listen to us. Inshallah we'll provide you update time to time, so that we will show you number one for 3.0 progress, as well as our endowment, that how we are doing on that, inshallah. That one, subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Wal asr innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilus salihat wa tawasaw bil haqq wa tawasaw bis sabr. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Suhoor fest is on.